Right now, something in your life is out of your control. A person, a situation, an outcome you can't change no matter how hard you try. And every second you spend fighting it, you're losing. You're spending your attention on things that never belonged to you in the first place. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor learned the one principle that separates emotional chaos from inner stability, knowing exactly what is yours to control and what never was. That principle became the foundation of Stoicism. Master it, and criticism loses its power. Failure loses its sting. Fear loses its grip. This audiobook is your guide to that mindset. By the end, you won't have a different world. You'll have a different mind. Chapter 1. Everything changes when you stop fighting reality. Most people wake up tired before the day has even begun. Not because they worked too hard, not because they slept too little, because they are carrying battles that were never theirs to fight. They wake up thinking about the message that never came, the promotion someone else received, the opinion a stranger posted online, the meeting they hope will go perfectly, the person they desperately want to change. Their mind is already running toward tomorrow, replaying yesterday, and negotiating with a reality that has already made its decision. That is exhausting. Not the work, the resistance. Reality doesn't negotiate. It never has, it never will. The sooner you understand this, the sooner your mind begins to recover. Look at your own life. How many times have you refreshed your inbox, hoping the email would finally arrive? How many times have you checked your phone every few minutes because someone hasn't replied? How many hours have disappeared because your mind kept asking one question: what if? What if they say yes? What if they reject me? What if everything falls apart? Notice something. None of those questions change reality. They only consume your attention. And attention is your most valuable resource. Every minute spent trying to force an outcome is 1 minute stolen from improving yourself. You have a choice. That choice is not whether life becomes uncertain. Life already is. Your choice is whether you waste yourself resisting it. Stop resisting what already exists. This is where the Stoics began, not with complicated philosophy, not with impossible ideals. They began with observation. They noticed that people suffer far more from fighting reality than from reality itself. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than almost anyone. People remember him as a Roman emperor, but they often forget what that actually meant. Every day brought uncertainty. Wars erupted, political allies became enemies, disease spread across the empire. Trusted people disappointed him. Plans collapsed without warning. Yet he could not afford emotional chaos. An emperor who reacts to every problem becomes another problem. So Marcus trained himself differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked a better question. What is the right response now? That small shift changes everything. The event stays the same. The mind changes. That's the discipline. It isn't about controlling the storm, it's about controlling the sailor. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Most people reverse that order. They believe peace comes after circumstances improve. They think, when people finally understand me, I'll relax. When my career becomes stable, I'll feel confident. When everyone approves of me, I'll be happy. So they spend years chasing conditions instead of building character, and peace never arrives. Because there is always another condition, another obstacle, another uncertainty. Reality doesn't negotiate. You can argue with the weather. The weather keeps raining. You can argue with traffic. The traffic keeps moving slowly. You can argue with another person's decision. Their decision remains theirs. You lose every argument against reality because reality never participates. It simply continues. You have a choice. You can spend your energy wishing the world obeyed you, or you can spend that same energy becoming stronger than the world expected. Those are very different lives. Think about two people who lose the exact same opportunity. Perhaps both apply for the same job, both are rejected. The event is identical. Nothing separates them yet. Then interpretation begins. The first person immediately starts building a prison inside their own mind. This isn't fair. I deserved it. My life is ruined. They made a mistake. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. The rejection ends in one afternoon. The suffering continues because they keep replaying it. The second person also feels disappointment. They are human. The Stoics never taught people to become emotionless. They taught people to recover quickly. So this second person pauses, feels the disappointment, accepts the result, then asks, what belongs to me now? Learning, improving, applying again, moving forward. The event was the same. The future became completely different. Why? Because events happen first. Interpretation happens second. Never reverse those. Life gives you events. Your mind gives them meaning. And meaning determines direction. That's why two people can live through the same circumstance and leave with entirely different lives. One keeps fighting yesterday. The other starts building tomorrow. Stop resisting what already exists. That sentence sounds simple. It is not. It demands humility. It asks you to admit that reality owes you nothing. It asks you to stop trying to rewrite what has already happened. It asks you to release the fantasy that endless worrying somehow improves tomorrow. It doesn't. Worry feels productive because the mind is busy, but movement is not progress. Thinking is not always solving. Sometimes thinking is simply hiding. You already know this. How many problems disappeared because you worried longer? Very few. How many became easier because you became calmer? Almost all of them. The Stoics understood something modern life constantly distracts us from. The quality of your response matters far more than the comfort of your circumstances. Your reaction becomes your character. Repeated reactions become your habits. Habits become your identity. This is why today's smallest moments matter. The delayed message, the canceled plan, the rude comment, the unexpected bill. Each one quietly asks the same question. Will you react or will you respond? You have a choice every single time. The world keeps offering opportunities to practice. Most people call them inconveniences. The Stoics called them training. Imagine if every frustration became a workout instead of an interruption. Traffic becomes patience. Criticism becomes emotional discipline. Failure becomes instruction. Waiting becomes endurance. Suddenly, life stops happening against you. It starts working for you. Not because circumstances improved, because your relationship with circumstances changed. That's the discipline. It isn't about eliminating discomfort. It's about eliminating unnecessary resistance. Now we arrive at the foundation of everything you will hear in this audiobook. Every problem you face can be placed into one of two categories. Either it belongs to you, or it never did. Either your actions can shape it, or they cannot. There is no third category. This single distinction becomes one of the most powerful mental filters you will ever learn. Most anxiety comes from confusing these two worlds. Most peace comes from separating them. The Stoics built entire lives upon that realization, and in the next chapter we will examine it directly. It has survived wars, empires, economic collapse, personal tragedy, and it remains just as powerful today. Because human nature has not changed. People still chase control where none exists. People still ignore the control already sitting inside them. That changes now. You have stopped fighting reality. Now it's time to discover what truly belongs to you and what never did. Chapter 2. The Dichotomy of Control changes everything. There is one mistake that quietly steals more peace than almost any other. It happens every day. Most people never notice it. They confuse influence with control. They believe that because they can affect something, they own it. They don't. This is where the Stoics drew one of the clearest lines in all of philosophy. There are only two worlds. Your choices, everything else. That is the entire framework. Simple, brutal, liberating. Your thoughts, your actions, your effort, your integrity, your discipline, those belong to you. The opinions of strangers do not. The timing of success does not. The economy does not. Other people's emotions do not. Luck does not. The past does not. The future does not. You may influence some of these things, but influence is not ownership. And confusing the two is where anxiety begins. Control your effort. Release the outcome. That is freedom. Read those words again in your mind. Control your effort. Release the outcome. That is freedom. Most people reverse the order. They obsess over outcomes, then neglect effort. They dream about becoming respected, but they don't become respectable. They want confidence, but avoid difficult work. They crave certainty, but refuse disciplined action. The Stoics understood that your effort is always available. The outcome never fully is. Epictetus built nearly his entire philosophy on this distinction. His own life made the lesson impossible to ignore. He began life without status or freedom. He understood what it meant to have circumstances chosen by someone else. Yet instead of allowing external conditions to define his identity, he became fascinated by a different question. What can no one take from me? The answer wasn't money, it wasn't power, it wasn't comfort. It was the ability to choose his response. That became his foundation, not ownership of the world, ownership of himself. That lesson has survived for nearly 2,000 years because human nature hasn't changed. People still hand over ownership every day. Think about social media. Someone uploads a photo, then checks it 10 minutes later. 20 likes, not enough. Refresh. 32, still not enough. Refresh again. Now they aren't living. They're waiting for strangers to decide how they should feel. Notice what happened. Their emotions became outsourced. Their confidence became rented property. Every notification became a vote on their self-worth. That is not freedom. That is dependence disguised as connection. Control your effort, release the outcome. That is freedom. Or think about your career. You prepare for weeks. You study. You improve your skills. You deliver your best work. Then someone else gets promoted. Immediately, the mind begins protesting. This isn't fair. I deserved it. They don't recognize my value. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. But ask yourself one question. Did your effort belong to you? Yes. Did the final decision? No. Then why surrender your peace to something you never owned? You have a choice. You can become bitter, or you can become better. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Relationships reveal the same pattern. Someone falls in love, then slowly begins trying to manage another person's feelings. They overthink every message, every pause, every facial expression, every delayed reply. Hours disappear trying to decode another human being, as if perfect analysis could create perfect certainty. It can't. Love cannot be controlled. Respect cannot be forced. Trust cannot be demanded. Another person's heart is never your possession. Your honesty is. Your kindness is. Your consistency is. Everything else belongs to them. Control your effort. Release the outcome. That is freedom. Parents experience this lesson too. Every parent wants the best for their child. That desire is natural. But many confuse guidance with ownership. They believe they can control every decision their child will ever make. Eventually, reality reminds them otherwise. You can teach values. You cannot live another person's life. You can provide direction. You cannot guarantee choices. The same principle applies to leadership, management, friendship, marriage. Influence is possible. Ownership is not. The moment you forget that distinction, suffering begins. Because anxiety grows wherever control is imagined. Think about how many invisible contracts people write every day. If I work hard, everyone should appreciate me. If I'm kind, nobody should betray me. If I plan carefully, nothing should go wrong. Reality never signed those contracts. Reality doesn't negotiate. Life never promised perfect fairness. Only opportunity. Only uncertainty. Only choice. This is why emotional dependence becomes so dangerous. The moment your happiness depends on another person's approval, your emotional stability belongs to them. The moment your confidence depends on constant success, failure becomes unbearable. The moment your identity depends on reputation, criticism becomes terrifying. Nothing external is stable enough to support your inner life. Build your house on shifting sand, and every storm becomes a disaster. Build your character instead. Character travels with you. Character cannot be unfollowed. Character cannot be fired. Character cannot be canceled. Character cannot be stolen. It's not about approval. It's about discipline. It's not about recognition. It's about control. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. So how do you practice it? Not once. Every day, every situation becomes an opportunity. Someone criticizes you. Pause. Before your emotions rush forward, ask one question. Is this actually mine to control their opinion? No. Your response, yes. The market crashes, ask again. The economy, no. Your financial discipline, yes. Someone ignores your message, ask again. Their decision, no. Your dignity, yes. Your child makes a mistake, ask again. Can you rewrite yesterday? No. Can you patiently teach today? Yes. Your business loses a client, ask again. Can you force loyalty? No. Can you improve your service? Yes. One question, repeated thousands of times. Eventually, it rewires your entire mind. The question interrupts panic. It interrupts anger. It interrupts fear. Most people react first and think later. The Stoic trains the opposite. Think first, then respond. That single pause creates emotional freedom. You have a choice, always, even when circumstances are unfair, even when people disappoint you, even when life refuses to follow your plans. Especially then, because discipline matters most when comfort disappears. Here is a practical exercise you can begin today. Carry this question everywhere. Write it on your phone, place it on your desk, keep it in your wallet. Whenever emotion rises, stop for 5 seconds. Ask yourself, is this actually mine to control? If the answer is yes, act immediately, without excuses, without delay. If the answer is no, let it go immediately, without resentment, without negotiation, without replaying the moment 100 times. That is not weakness. That is strength, directed wisely. Every unnecessary mental battle you refuse to fight gives you more energy for the battles that actually matter. Every attachment you release creates room for discipline. Every outcome you stop chasing allows excellence to emerge naturally. Control your effort. Release the outcome. That is freedom. Everything in this audiobook will continue returning to this truth because it changes everything. It changes how you work, how you love, how you lead, how you fail, how you recover. Most people spend their lives trying to control the world. The Stoic spends a lifetime mastering one person. The only person they ever truly owned. Themselves. You have learned where your control begins. Now it's time to discover how one of history's greatest leaders used that understanding to remain steady in the middle of chaos. Chapter 3. Marcus Aurelius won the battle inside himself. People often imagine peace as the reward for an easy life. No conflict, no pressure, no criticism, no uncertainty. But history tells a different story. One of the calmest minds ever recorded belonged to a man who rarely experienced calm circumstances. Marcus Aurelius was not sitting alone on a mountain. He was leading an empire. His days were filled with decisions that affected millions of people. Wars demanded attention. Disease spread through cities. Political rivals watched every move he made. Trusted advisors sometimes disappointed him. Military campaigns dragged on for years. Every morning brought another problem he did not ask for. And still, he understood something that many people never learn. External success does not guarantee internal peace. Money cannot purchase it. Power cannot command it. Fame cannot protect it. Because peace is not built from circumstances. It is built from character. The first battle is always internal. Master yourself first. Most people spend years trying to conquer the world. Marcus spent his energy conquering the only territory that truly belonged to him. His own mind. That is why his life still matters today. Not because he ruled an empire, because he refused to let the empire rule him. Think about that. The world admired his authority. He cared more about his discipline. The world measured his victories. He measured his responses. The world focused on events. He focused on character. That difference changed everything. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Imagine waking each day knowing that thousands of problems are waiting for you. A border is under attack, supplies are running low, a trusted official has failed, people expect immediate answers. There is no pause button, no escape, no perfect solution. Marcus could not control any of those events completely, but he could control one thing: the quality of his judgment. He trained himself to slow down before reacting, to observe before speaking, to think before deciding. Not because emotions disappeared, because discipline became stronger than emotion. That's the discipline. The first battle is always internal. Master yourself first. Now, pause for a moment and look at your own life. You may not command an empire, but your responsibilities feel just as real. Perhaps you lead a company. Your employees depend on you. Markets change overnight. Customers disappear. Unexpected expenses arrive without warning. Every decision carries pressure. The temptation is to panic, to blame, to react. But leadership begins inside. If your emotions lead you, fear leads your decisions. If discipline leads you, clarity follows. The first battle is always internal. Or perhaps you are a parent. Your children test your patience. They make mistakes. They ignore advice. They choose lessons you hoped they would avoid. Every parent wants to remove obstacles from their child's path. But no parent can control another human being completely. You can guide, you can teach, you can model discipline. You cannot live their life for them. If you fight reality, frustration grows. If you accept your role, wisdom grows. Master yourself first. Maybe you are a student. You study for weeks, you prepare carefully, then the exam asks unexpected questions. Another student performs better. Comparison immediately enters your mind. You begin believing your value has changed because your result changed. But your worth was never measured by one grade. The only question that truly belongs to you is this: did I give my best effort? If the answer is yes, continue. If the answer is no, improve. Not tomorrow, today. Control your effort. Release the outcome. That is freedom. Or perhaps you are building a business. Entrepreneurs understand uncertainty better than almost anyone. One month feels unstoppable. The next month, everything slows down. Algorithms change, clients disappear, investments fail. The market refuses to cooperate. Many people quit because they expected certainty before commitment. Marcus expected uncertainty from the beginning. That expectation made him resilient. He did not wake each morning demanding an easy day. He prepared himself to meet a difficult one with discipline. That is a completely different mindset. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. The modern world teaches you to chase comfort. Marcus trained for discomfort. The modern world says your environment determines your performance. Marcus believed your preparation determines your response to the environment. Those are not the same philosophy. One creates dependence. The other creates freedom. You have a choice. Every difficult moment asks the same question. Will your emotions lead, or will your principles lead? The first battle is always internal. Master yourself first. One of Marcus Aurelius's greatest strengths was not intelligence, it was attention. Whenever the world became chaotic, he redirected his attention inward. Not because he ignored reality, because he understood where useful action begins. Inside. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. You cannot stop the wind. You cannot command the rain. You cannot argue with thunder. But you can decide where to place your feet. Marcus practiced that decision repeatedly. When others became angry, he examined his own judgment. When others blamed fate, he examined his own conduct. When others obsessed over events, he examined his own character. That habit protected him. Notice the pattern. Every crisis became an invitation to look inward before looking outward. Most people do the opposite. Something goes wrong, immediately they search for someone to blame: their boss, their spouse, their childhood, politics, luck, the economy, social media, anyone except themselves. Marcus interrupted that instinct. His first question was different. What can I improve in myself right now? That question never becomes outdated. You should ask it every day. Your meeting goes badly? Pause. What can I improve? Someone insults you. Pause. What can I improve? You lose an opportunity. Pause. What can I improve? You fail. Pause. What can I improve? Notice what this question does. It immediately returns ownership to you. Not ownership of the event, ownership of your response. That is where growth begins. It's not about blame, it's about discipline. It's not about perfection, it's about control. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Here is a habit you can begin tonight. Before you sleep, replay your day. Not to criticize yourself, not to punish yourself. Simply observe. Where did emotion take control? Where did impatience appear? Where did fear make your decisions? Where did discipline win? Where did character remain strong? Do this honestly, without excuses, without self-hatred, without pretending. This simple reflection strengthens awareness. Awareness strengthens discipline. Discipline strengthens character. Character strengthens your entire life. Marcus practiced this kind of inner examination repeatedly, not because he expected perfection, because he understood that progress belongs to people who pay attention. Most people audit their finances. Very few audit their mind. Yet the condition of your mind determines every decision your finances will ever reflect. Protect it, train it, strengthen it every day. The first battle is always internal. Master yourself first, because the person who conquers themselves can remain steady almost anywhere. The person who never conquers themselves remains unstable everywhere. Your circumstances may never become easy. They do not have to. Your mind can become stronger than your circumstances. That is the real victory. That is what Marcus Aurelius proved. Not by escaping hardship, but by refusing to surrender his character to hardship. You have learned how to lead yourself before trying to lead your circumstances. Now it is time to confront another illusion that quietly destroys peace. The belief that you can control other people. Chapter 4. Stop trying to control other people. Some of the heaviest burdens you carry were never yours. Not your friend's attitude, not your partner's decisions, not your parents' expectations, not your coworker's behavior, not the stranger's opinion. Yet every day, millions of people wake up believing their peace depends on changing someone else. That belief quietly destroys relationships. It creates resentment. It creates anxiety. It creates endless disappointment. Because the moment your happiness depends on another person's choices, your happiness no longer belongs to you. People choose. You choose. Those are different things. Never forget that. Look closely at most arguments. Very few begin because two people disagree. Most begin because one person believes the other should think differently. They should apologize. They should understand. They should appreciate. They should change. Notice that word, should. It sounds harmless. It often becomes a prison. Reality rarely follows your expectations. Reality doesn't negotiate. Neither do other human beings. You have a choice. You can spend years trying to reshape another person's mind, or you can strengthen your own. That's the discipline. Think about a relationship after a breakup. One person accepts that the relationship has ended. The pain is real. The grief is real. But they begin rebuilding. The other person spends months trying to control what has already left. They reread old conversations, replay every memory, imagine different endings, search for hidden meanings, wait for messages that never come. Who suffers more? Not the person who was rejected. The person who refuses to accept reality. The relationship ended once. Their resistance makes it end every day afterward. People choose. You choose. Those are different things. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that every person acts according to the understanding they possess in that moment. People make decisions based on what they believe is right, useful, or necessary, even when those decisions are mistaken. That insight changes how you see others. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" you begin asking, "What are they seeing that leads them to act this way?" This does not excuse harmful behavior, it explains it. Understanding is not agreement. Compassion is not permission. Those are different things. Marcus Aurelius often dealt with people who disappointed him. Some were selfish, some were dishonest, some pursued power instead of principle. He could not remove every difficult person from his life, neither can you. Instead of expecting everyone to behave wisely, he trained himself to expect that human beings would sometimes act from fear, ignorance, pride, or desire. That expectation made him calmer. Not because people improved, because his expectations became realistic. Most frustration comes from demanding perfection from imperfect people. You have a choice. Expect humanity, or remain shocked by it forever. Family conflict teaches this lesson quickly. Perhaps your parents never fully understood you. Perhaps your siblings continue repeating the same unhealthy patterns. Perhaps family gatherings always become arguments. How much energy have you spent trying to change people who never asked to change? Years, maybe decades. You explained, you argued, you pleaded, you defended yourself, yet nothing truly changed. Why? Because insight cannot be forced. Growth cannot be imposed. People choose. You choose. Those are different things. The same happens at work. Every office has someone difficult, someone who complains, someone who seeks attention, someone who takes credit, someone who spreads negativity. Many people allow that one person to control their emotional climate. They think about them before work, during lunch, after work, even before sleep. One difficult coworker now occupies hours of their mental life. Ask yourself honestly, who gave them that power? Not them. You did, without realizing it. The Stoics would remind you that another person's character belongs to them. Your character belongs to you. Protect yours. You cannot borrow theirs. It's not about controlling people. It's about controlling yourself. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. This is where emotional boundaries become essential. Many people misunderstand boundaries. They think boundaries are walls, coldness, distance, isolation. They are not. Healthy boundaries are simply clear ownership. You recognize what belongs to you. You recognize what belongs to someone else, and you stop confusing the two. Their anger belongs to them. Your response belongs to you. Their disappointment belongs to them. Your integrity belongs to you. Their expectations belong to them. Your choices belong to you. People choose, you choose. Those are different things. Compassion also becomes clearer. Many people believe compassion means fixing everyone, saving everyone, carrying everyone's emotional weight. That is not compassion. That is control disguised as kindness. Real compassion says, I care about you. Control says, I need you to become who I want you to be. One respects freedom, the other fears it. Think about someone you love who continues making poor decisions. Perhaps they ignore advice. Perhaps they repeat destructive habits. You desperately want to rescue them. That desire comes from love, but love without wisdom often becomes control. Offer guidance. Offer support. Offer honesty. Then step back. Because every human being must eventually face the consequences of their own choices. You cannot grow for them. You cannot suffer in their place. You cannot learn their lessons. People choose. You choose. Those are different things. That realization may feel uncomfortable. It also creates enormous peace, because it frees you from impossible responsibilities. You stop measuring your worth by another person's behavior. You stop believing every disagreement is your failure. You stop carrying guilt for choices you never made. That is freedom. That's the discipline. Now something surprising happens. Relationships often improve the moment you stop trying to control them. Why? Because pressure disappears. People feel respected. They feel heard. They feel trusted. Ironically, the less you try to force change, the more space change has to happen naturally. Think about friendships. The strongest friendships rarely exist because one person constantly corrects the other. They exist because both people feel accepted while still being encouraged to grow. Acceptance is not approval. Acceptance simply acknowledges reality before attempting improvement. Reality first, action second. Control your effort, release the outcome. That principle applies to relationships just as much as careers. Parents who stop trying to manufacture perfect children often become better guides. Leaders who stop micromanaging often build stronger teams. Partners who stop demanding constant reassurance often create healthier love. The pattern repeats everywhere. Control creates resistance. Respect creates cooperation. You have a choice. Every conversation gives you one. Will you listen to understand or speak to control? Will you influence through example or pressure through force? Will you protect your peace or surrender it to another person's decisions? The first path builds trust. The second builds resentment. The Stoics always chose the first. Now you can too. Here is a simple practice to begin immediately. The next time someone disappoints you, pause before reacting. Take one slow breath. Then silently ask yourself 3 questions. What belongs to them? What belongs to me? What action reflects my character? Those 3 questions create emotional distance. Not emotional coldness, clarity. And clarity protects relationships far better than emotional intensity ever could. Remember this: you are responsible for your conduct, not another person's conscience. You are responsible for your honesty, not another person's understanding. You are responsible for your effort, not another person's response. People choose. You choose. Those are different things. The day you truly accept that truth is the day you stop chasing impossible control And when you stop chasing people, you recover something far more valuable: your own peace. You have learned to stop fighting reality. You have learned to stop trying to own another person's choices. Now it is time to discover where your greatest strength truly grows. Not in controlling people, but in mastering your attention. Chapter 5. Your mind becomes strong where your attention goes. There is one resource more valuable than money, more valuable than talent, more valuable than time itself. It is your attention. Because your attention determines how you spend your time. It determines what you learn. It determines how you feel. It determines who you become. Where your attention goes, your life follows. That is why the greatest battle of the modern world is not for your wallet. It is for your focus. Every company wants it. Every app competes for it. Every notification interrupts it. Every headline demands it. Every algorithm studies it. Your attention has become one of the most expensive commodities on earth. The tragedy is this: most people give it away for free. Attention is power. Guard your mind. Think about how your day begins. Before your feet touch the floor, your phone lights up. Messages, emails, breaking news, trending videos, comments, likes, opinions from people you've never met. Within minutes, your mind belongs to everyone except you. You haven't chosen your first thought. Someone else chose it for you. That is not freedom. That is dependence disguised as convenience. The Stoics understood something remarkable long before smartphones existed. They knew that whatever repeatedly occupies the mind eventually shapes the character. That is why they treated attention like a sacred responsibility. Marcus Aurelius did not begin his reflections because he enjoyed writing. He did it because he understood that an untrained mind drifts toward distraction, ego, fear, and anger. His daily reflections were not records of events. They were exercises in directing attention. Every morning and every evening, he returned his focus to the same questions. What kind of person am I becoming? Where did I lose control today? Where did I act with integrity? Where can I improve tomorrow? He was training attention, not collecting thoughts. That is the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Attention is power. Guard your mind. Look at modern life. You open one social media app for 5 minutes, 30 minutes disappear. You begin by checking one message. Soon you're comparing your life to hundreds of strangers. Someone bought a bigger house. Someone travels more. Someone appears happier. Someone seems more successful. Comparison quietly enters your mind. Nothing in your life changed, only your attention did. And suddenly, your gratitude disappears. Not because your life became worse, because your focus moved. Attention is power. Guard your mind. The same happens with the news. Being informed is useful. Being consumed is dangerous. Many people wake up searching for outrage before they search for purpose. Every headline is designed to pull emotion, fear, anger, shock, conflict. The more emotional the story becomes, the longer your attention remains. Notice how easily your mood changes after 20 minutes of negative information. Your body reacts, your breathing changes, your thoughts become heavier. Yet nothing in your immediate environment actually changed. Only your attention moved. You have a choice. You can feed your mind chaos, or you can feed it clarity. That's the discipline. Attention follows emotion, unless discipline redirects it. This is one of the greatest challenges of the human mind. Emotion acts like a magnet. The moment something threatens your ego, attention rushes toward it. Someone criticizes you, you replay the conversation all day. Someone praises another person, comparison begins. One unexpected expense appears, your mind imagines financial disaster. Emotion grabs attention. Attention feeds emotion. The cycle repeats, unless you interrupt it. Most people believe they are thinking. Often they are simply looping. The same fear, the same memory, the same argument, again, again, again. Hours disappear, nothing improves. Because attention without direction becomes rumination. Rumination feels active. It produces nothing. The Stoics refused to let emotion become the driver. Not because they lacked feelings, because they questioned them. Instead of automatically following every emotional impulse, they paused. They examined it. Is this useful? Is this true? Does this deserve more of my attention? If the answer was no, they redirected their mind, not once, repeatedly. That repetition built strength. Attention is power. Guard your mind. Think about athletes. Champions are not stronger because they never become distracted. They become stronger because they return to focus faster. The same principle applies to your mind. You will become distracted. Everyone does. The question is how quickly you recover. Someone insults you. Can you return to your purpose? A mistake happens. Can you return to your work? A fear appears. Can you return to reality? That return is mental strength, not permanent perfection, recovery, again and again. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. So how do you train attention? Not with motivation, with filters. Every strong mind develops filters. Without them, everything enters. With them, only what matters remains. Start with information. Before reading anything, ask yourself, will this improve my life? Not, is this interesting? Interesting and useful are not the same. Many people consume information like entertainment. Very little becomes wisdom. Choose carefully. Next, filter conversations. Not every debate deserves your energy. Not every criticism deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your consideration. Silence is often a better investment than explanation. Remember that. Filter your environment. Ask yourself, what am I repeatedly exposing my mind to? Negative people, endless gossip, constant complaints, fear-driven media? All of it shapes your thinking. You become familiar with whatever you repeatedly consume. Protect your environment, protect your mind. Then, filter your own thoughts. This may be the hardest practice of all. Every thought arrives with a question. Will you believe me? You do not have to answer yes. Some thoughts deserve attention, others deserve dismissal. The thought, I'm not good enough, question it. The thought, I'll never recover, question it. The thought, everyone is against me, question it. Thoughts are not commands, they are visitors. You decide who stays. Attention is power. Guard your mind. Here is a practical exercise you can begin today. 3 times each day, stop for 1 minute. No phone, no music, no conversation. Simply ask yourself, where has my attention been? Has it been trapped in the past, pulled into the future, captured by comparison, consumed by fear, or directed toward meaningful action? Do not judge the answer. Observe it. Then, gently redirect your focus toward what belongs to you, your work, your values, your next action. Nothing more, nothing less. Repeat this every day. At first it feels small. Eventually, it changes everything. Because attention creates habits. Habits create identity. Identity creates destiny. People often ask how to become mentally stronger. They expect complicated answers. There is one. Protect what enters your mind. Choose where your attention lives. Everything else follows. It's not about eliminating distractions. It's about refusing to surrender to them. It's not about controlling the world. It's about controlling your focus. You have a choice. Every notification asks for your attention. Every headline asks for your attention. Every argument asks for your attention. Not all of them deserve it. Remember that. The strongest mind is not the one that notices everything. It is the one that knows what to ignore. Attention is power. Guard your mind. Master that principle, and you stop becoming a prisoner of every distraction the world offers. But there is one more step. Even when you have mastered your attention, life will still place obstacles in your path. The Stoics did not merely endure those obstacles. They learned to welcome them. Now it's time to discover one of Stoicism's most transformative ideas. Chapter 6. Amor fati. Learn to use every obstacle. Everyone says they want a stronger mind. Very few want the experiences that build one. They want confidence without failure. They want wisdom without mistakes. They want resilience without hardship. But life has never worked that way. Strength is not built before difficulty. Strength is built because of difficulty. This is where one of the most powerful Stoic ideas enters your life. Amor fati. Not simply accepting your fate, learning to work with it. Learning to stop asking, why did this happen to me? And instead asking, how can this make me stronger? That single shift changes everything. Use it, don't curse it. Everything trains you. Many people misunderstand acceptance. They think accepting reality means giving up, settling, lowering standards, doing nothing. That is not what the Stoics believed. Acceptance is not surrender. It is clarity. You cannot solve a problem you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot move forward while pretending the road behind you still exists. Acceptance simply says, this is where I am. Action then asks, what is my next step? Acceptance comes first. Progress comes second. That's the discipline. Imagine losing your job. For many people, that moment becomes the end of their identity. They immediately begin thinking, I'm a failure. My career is over. I'll never recover. Notice what happened. Losing the job caused pain. The story they attached to it created suffering. Now imagine another person facing the exact same event. They are disappointed, they are uncertain, but after allowing themselves to feel those emotions, they ask a different question. What can this teach me? Perhaps they finally build the business they postponed for years. Perhaps they learn new skills. Perhaps they discover work that fits them better than the old job ever did. The obstacle becomes direction. The event remains the same. The meaning changes. Use it. Don't curse it. Everything trains you. The same principle applies to divorce. No one begins a marriage hoping it will end. When it does, people naturally experience grief. The Stoics never demanded that you ignore pain. They simply warned against living inside it forever. Some people spend years replaying the relationship, imagining different conversations, blaming themselves, blaming the other person, trying to rewrite what cannot be rewritten. Others eventually ask, "What kind of person will I become because of this?" They become wiser, more patient, more self-aware, more intentional. The heartbreak becomes education instead of identity. That is the difference. Not between pain and no pain, between resistance and growth. The later Stoic tradition encouraged people to stop treating fate like an enemy, not because every event is pleasant, because every event contains material. Material for courage, material for patience, material for wisdom, material for discipline. Life hands you raw material. Character shapes it. You have a choice. Use it or curse it. Illness teaches the same lesson. No one chooses sickness. No one welcomes physical suffering. Yet many people who endure serious illness later describe an unexpected transformation. They appreciate time differently. Relationships become deeper. Small frustrations lose their importance. Priorities become clearer. The illness was never good, but something good emerged through it. That distinction matters. The Stoics never celebrated suffering itself. They celebrated what disciplined people could build from suffering. Everything trains you. Business failure offers another example. Imagine an entrepreneur whose company collapses. Years of effort disappear. Money is lost. Confidence is shaken. The easy response is resentment. The market ruined me. My competitors cheated. I'll never try again. Resistance becomes permanent. Now imagine another entrepreneur. They analyze every mistake honestly, without excuses, without self-pity, without pretending. They ask, what did failure reveal that success never would have? That question changes everything. Failure becomes tuition instead of defeat. Use it. Don't curse it. Everything trains you. Here is the truth most people avoid. Resistance always adds unnecessary weight. Pain is unavoidable. Resistance is optional. When you resist reality, suffering doubles. First, you experience the event. Then you fight the fact that the event happened. You carry two burdens instead of one. Think about a rainy day. You can complain for hours. The rain continues. You arrive soaked and exhausted. Not because of the weather, because you argued with something that never listened. Reality doesn't negotiate. The same is true with loss, with aging, with disappointment, with uncertainty. Every time you mentally scream, "This shouldn't be happening," you create a second wound. One created by life, the other created by your own resistance. You have a choice. Feel the pain or multiply it. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Acceptance does not erase emotion. It shortens unnecessary suffering. You can cry, you can grieve, you can feel disappointment. Then stand up. The purpose of emotion is to move through you, not to become your permanent address. Remember that. Some people build entire identities around what happened to them. I was betrayed, I was rejected, I was abandoned. Eventually, those experiences stop being memories, they become names. The Stoics would challenge that identity. They would ask, who are you becoming now? Not, what happened before? Because yesterday cannot build tomorrow. only today's choices can. Every setback contains hidden training. Criticism trains humility. Failure trains persistence. Waiting trains patience. Loneliness trains self-reliance. Loss trains gratitude. Uncertainty trains courage. Every obstacle develops something, if you let it. Everything trains you. One practical habit can completely change how you experience adversity. The next time something goes wrong, refuse to ask why me. Instead, ask 3 questions. What is this teaching? What strength does this require? How can I leave this stronger than I entered it? Those questions immediately transform your relationship with hardship. Instead of becoming a victim of the event, you become a student of it. Students always leave with something valuable. Victims leave only with resentment. Choose carefully, because both identities begin with the questions you ask. Use it. Don't curse it. Everything trains you. This mindset does not promise an easier life. It promises a stronger one. You will still lose. You will still fail. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still collapse. Life will still surprise you. But every obstacle will become another opportunity to strengthen your character. That is why the Stoics became so resilient. Not because they escaped hardship, because hardship became part of their education. It's not about avoiding adversity. It's about transforming adversity. It's not about demanding an easier path. It's about becoming a stronger traveler. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Remember this whenever life interrupts your plans. The obstacle may not be what you wanted, but it may become exactly what you needed, if you have the discipline to use it. You have learned how to stop fighting fate. Now it is time to prepare your mind before fate arrives, because one of the most powerful ways to reduce fear is to stop pretending loss is impossible. Chapter 7. Negative visualization makes you fear less. Fear becomes stronger in the places your mind refuses to visit. Most people spend their lives pretending loss is something that happens to someone else. They assume tomorrow will look like today. They assume the people they love will always be there. They assume their health will remain the same. Their career will continue. Their comfort will last. Then reality interrupts those assumptions, and panic takes over. Not only because something was lost, but because the possibility of losing it had never been considered. The Stoics practiced something radically different. They occasionally imagined loss before it happened. Not to become pessimistic, not to become anxious, but to become prepared. Prepare. Don't panic. That is the discipline. This practice is often misunderstood. People hear the phrase negative visualization and imagine constant worrying. That is not what the Stoics intended. Worry imagines disaster without purpose. Negative visualization imagines difficulty with purpose. One weakens the mind, the other strengthens it. One creates helplessness, the other creates resilience. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Seneca understood the dangerous relationship between comfort and dependence. He realized that the more attached people became to luxury, status, or certainty, the more fragile they became. So he occasionally chose discomfort on purpose. He imagined life without wealth. He imagined hardship before hardship arrived. He reminded himself that comfort was a gift, not a guarantee. In doing so, he loosened fear's grip on his mind. When you stop assuming that life owes you comfort, comfort becomes a blessing instead of a requirement. Prepare. Don't panic. Imagine waking up tomorrow without your phone. For many people, that thought creates immediate discomfort. Not because a phone is life itself, because dependence has quietly formed. Now imagine losing your car, your savings, your title at work, your social status. None of these exercises are meant to make you miserable. They are meant to ask one important question. If this disappeared, would I disappear with it? That question reveals attachment, and attachment often hides fear. You have a choice. Strengthen your character, or strengthen your dependence. Those are very different lives. Think about relationships. Many people love with fear instead of gratitude. Every disagreement feels like the beginning of the end. Every delayed message creates anxiety. Every moment apart feels threatening. Why? Because they secretly believe they cannot survive loss. The Stoic approach is different. Love deeply, appreciate fully, but never forget that every relationship is temporary. Not because love is weak, because life is uncertain. Remembering this does not reduce love, it intensifies appreciation. You stop taking ordinary moments for granted. You listen more carefully. You forgive more quickly. You say thank you more often. You become present. Prepare. Don't panic. The same applies to possessions. Imagine walking through your home. Look at everything you own, your furniture, your clothes, your technology, your favorite watch, your favorite chair. Now quietly remind yourself, none of this is permanently mine. Notice what happens. At first, your mind resists. It says, "But I earned these." Yes, you did. And still, nothing external belongs to you forever. Time eventually claims everything. Understanding that truth changes how you hold your possessions. Instead of clinging tightly, you appreciate deeply. There is a difference. It's not about rejecting comfort. It's about refusing to become its prisoner. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. One of the greatest enemies of happiness is entitlement. Entitlement quietly whispers, "This should always be here. My success should continue. My health should never change. My loved ones should never leave." Reality never made those promises. Gratitude begins where entitlement ends. The less you assume, the more you appreciate. Think about breathing. Most people never notice it until they struggle to breathe. Think about walking. Most people ignore it until injury removes it. Think about eyesight, conversation, friendship, peace, clean water, freedom. You rarely appreciate what feels guaranteed. Negative visualization gently removes the illusion of guarantee. Not to make you fearful, to make you grateful. Gratitude is impossible when entitlement dominates the mind, but gratitude grows naturally when you remember that every ordinary blessing is temporary. Everything becomes more precious. A quiet dinner, a healthy body, a peaceful morning, a conversation with your parents, a walk with your child. You stop rushing through life because you finally understand that none of it lasts forever. That realization is not depressing. It is awakening. Prepare. Don't panic. There is another hidden benefit to this practice. Fear loses its mystery. Many fears grow larger simply because they remain vague. Your mind imagines disaster without examining it. Negative visualization brings fear into the light. You ask yourself, what if I lost my job? Then continue, what would I actually do? Perhaps you would reduce expenses, learn new skills, contact former colleagues, start something of your own. Notice what happened. The unknown became a plan. Panic became preparation. Fear became manageable. The same works with almost every uncertainty. Not because bad things cannot happen, because your mind no longer believes you are helpless. You have a choice. Prepare or panic. That's the discipline. Now let us make this practical. Every morning, spend 2 minutes imagining one ordinary blessing disappearing, not dramatically, calmly. Imagine waking without your health. Then open your eyes and appreciate your body. Imagine arriving home to an empty house. Then appreciate the people waiting for you. Imagine losing your income. Then appreciate today's opportunity to work. Imagine aging. Then appreciate your current strength. Do not stay in these thoughts for long, just long enough to awaken gratitude. Then return fully to the present. Another evening practice can strengthen this habit. Before sleeping, ask yourself, what did I almost overlook today? Perhaps it was a simple meal, a smile from a stranger, the ability to read, the ability to hear music, the ability to rest in safety. These moments seem ordinary only because they are familiar. Familiarity often hides miracles. Train yourself to notice them day after day, week after week. Eventually, your mind changes. Instead of constantly asking, what am I missing? You begin asking, what do I already have? That question creates peace, because abundance begins in awareness, not accumulation. It's not about expecting the worst. It's about appreciating the present. It's not about becoming afraid of loss. It's about becoming free from fear of loss. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Prepare. Don't panic. The strongest people are rarely the ones who believe nothing bad will happen. They are the ones who quietly prepare their minds before difficulty arrives. When hardship finally appears, they do not collapse. They recognize the moment. They breathe. They adapt. They continue because they rehearsed resilience long before they needed it. You have learned how to reduce fear by preparing your mind. Now there is one final illusion that keeps people wasting their lives. The illusion that there will always be more time. Chapter 8. Memento Mori gives life its value. There is one truth that every person knows, yet almost everyone lives as if it were optional. Your time is limited. Not someday. Now. Every sunrise quietly spends part of your life. Every sunset closes another page that will never be written again. This is the meaning behind one of Stoicism's most powerful practices, Memento Mori. Remember that your life is finite, not to become afraid, but to become awake. Time is disappearing. Act today. Most people avoid thinking about mortality. They believe that ignoring death somehow protects them from it. It doesn't. It only makes them careless with life. The Stoics understood something profound. The person who remembers life's limits often lives more fully than the person who pretends those limits do not exist. Death was never meant to become an obsession. It was meant to become a compass, a reminder, a filter, a question. If today mattered more than yesterday, what would I stop wasting? That question changes everything. You have a choice. You can live as if your days are unlimited, or you can live as if each day deserves your full attention. That's the discipline. The Roman Stoics regularly reflected on mortality, not because they expected death to arrive immediately, but because they understood that awareness of life's limits sharpened judgment. When you remember that time is finite, your priorities become clearer. Small insults lose their importance. Petty arguments lose their energy. Trivial distractions lose their appeal. You stop asking, "How can I fill my day?" You begin asking, "How should I spend what cannot be replaced?" Time is disappearing. Act today. Think about procrastination. How many dreams have disappeared because someone kept waiting for the perfect moment? I'll start next month. I'll exercise when work slows down. I'll tell them I love them later. I'll write the book someday. I'll forgive them eventually. Eventually becomes never, far more often than people realize. The perfect conditions you are waiting for rarely arrive. Life continues moving while you continue preparing. One day you look back and realize you spent years getting ready to live instead of living. The Stoics would ask a simple question. If you knew your time was shorter than you expected, would you still delay? Probably not. Then why delay now? Act today. Time is disappearing. Look at meaningless arguments. Someone says something disrespectful, your pride reacts immediately. You replay the conversation. You imagine clever responses. You carry anger for days, maybe weeks. Now ask yourself one question. If both of you knew this was your final conversation, would the argument still matter? Most of the time, the answer is no. Mortality exposes the true size of our problems. Many of them shrink immediately, not because they disappeared, because perspective returned. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this, now you do too. Consider endless scrolling. One video becomes 10, 10 become 50, an hour disappears, then another. Nothing meaningful happened. Nothing lasting was created. Your attention was spent. Your energy was spent. Your time was spent. Time is the one resource that never returns. Money can be earned again. Health can sometimes improve. Relationships can heal. Time only moves in one direction. Every minute spent unconsciously is permanently exchanged for a piece of your life. That realization should not create panic, it should create purpose. Time is disappearing. Act today. There are two ways to live: urgently or distracted. Urgent living does not mean rushing. It does not mean constant stress. It means understanding what matters and giving it your attention before lesser things consume it. Distracted living is different. It mistakes activity for progress. It mistakes entertainment for fulfillment. It mistakes busyness for purpose. Many people complete dozens of tasks every day, yet move nowhere meaningful. Why? Because they never decided what truly deserved their life. Urgent living begins with clarity. What kind of person do you want to become? What relationships deserve your attention? What work deserves your best effort? What habits deserve repetition? Everything else becomes easier to eliminate. You have a choice. Protect what matters, or lose it to distraction. One decision repeated every day creates two completely different futures. Imagine two people waking up tomorrow. The first reaches immediately for their phone. Notifications, news, messages, entertainment. Hours pass. The day controls them. The second pauses. They remember their values, their purpose, their priorities. Only then do they begin. Both had the same 24 hours. One spent them, the other invested them. That is the difference. Not between successful and unsuccessful people, between intentional and accidental living.
The Stoics understood that life is shaped less by dramatic moments than by repeated daily choices. You become what you repeatedly do with ordinary days, not extraordinary ones. Time is disappearing. Act today. Many people wait until tragedy forces perspective upon them. A serious illness, the loss of someone they love, a near accident. Suddenly everything becomes clear. Family matters more than status, health matters more than possessions, presence matters more than popularity. The tragedy did not create those truths. It revealed them. The Stoics believed wisdom should arrive before tragedy, not after. You do not have to lose something before appreciating it. You can choose awareness today. That choice changes everything. Now let us make this practical. Every morning, ask yourself one question. If today were unusually important, how would I behave? Would you still waste an hour arguing online? Would you still postpone your workout? Would you still ignore someone you love? Would you still delay your most meaningful work? Probably not. So why wait? Act today. Another practice is even simpler. Before making any major decision, pause and ask, will this matter a year from now? Many emotional reactions disappear immediately. Most daily frustrations fail this test. Many distractions fail it too. Use time as your filter, not emotion. That's the discipline. It is not about becoming obsessed with death. It is about becoming devoted to life. It is not about fearing the end. It is about refusing to waste the middle. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Remember this whenever you catch yourself saying, "I'll do it later." Later is a promise no one owns. Today is. Your conversation, your apology, your discipline, your courage, your effort, they all belong to today. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. Time is disappearing. Act today. One day your opportunities will end. One day your excuses will end. One day your story will be complete. The question is not whether that day will arrive. The question is what kind of person you will become before it does. You have learned to value your time because you understand it is limited. Now it is time to discover the one possession that no circumstance, no failure, and no passing year can ever take away from you. Chapter 9. Virtue is the only thing nobody can take from you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that everything you own is gone. Your bank account, your job, your title, your reputation, your possessions, even the respect you once believed was secure. Who would you be? Most people never ask that question because they quietly build their identity around things that can disappear. Money, status, recognition, popularity, achievement. The Stoics challenged that way of living from the very beginning. They believed there was only one possession that truly belonged to you: your character. Everything else was temporary. Character remains. Everything else can disappear. That is not a pessimistic idea. It is one of the most liberating ideas you will ever encounter. Because once your identity is rooted in something that cannot be taken away, fear begins to lose its grip. You have a choice. Build your life on what changes, or build it on what endures. That's the discipline. Think about layoffs. A person may lose their position overnight. One email, one meeting. Years of employment suddenly end. Many people immediately conclude, "I've lost my value."
But have they? They lost a role, not their honesty. They lost an income, not their work ethic. They lost a title, not their ability to learn. The external situation changed. The internal person remained. That distinction is everything. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Or consider financial loss. Markets collapse. Businesses fail. Unexpected expenses arrive. Money can disappear much faster than people expect. If your confidence depends entirely on your bank account, every financial setback becomes an identity crisis. But if your confidence rests on discipline, wisdom, and resilience, money becomes a tool rather than a definition. You know you can rebuild, because the qualities that created value remain inside you. Character remains. Everything else can disappear. Public criticism teaches the same lesson. Today, one mistake can spread across the internet within minutes. One misunderstood comment, one failed project, one unpopular opinion. Many people become prisoners of reputation. They carefully manage appearances while quietly neglecting character. The Stoics reversed that order. They believed reputation belongs to other people, character belongs to you. Reputation changes with public opinion, character changes with your choices. Only one of those deserves your full attention. It's not about popularity, it's about integrity. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, yet he understood something many leaders forget. Praise and criticism are both unstable. The crowd that applauds you today may condemn you tomorrow. If your identity depends on applause, your emotional stability belongs to the audience. Marcus refused to give away that power. He measured himself by his conduct, not by public approval. He asked, "Did I act according to my principles?" Not, "Did everyone approve of me?" That question creates freedom. You have a choice. Chase admiration or build integrity. Only one survives difficult times. Character remains. Everything else can disappear. So what is character? The Stoics often described it through 4 enduring qualities: wisdom, courage, justice, discipline. These are not abstract ideals. They are daily decisions. Wisdom means seeing clearly before reacting emotionally. It means asking, "What is true?" instead of, "What do I want to believe?" Courage means doing what is right even when fear is present, not after fear disappears. Justice means treating people fairly even when they cannot benefit you, especially then. Discipline means repeatedly choosing long-term values over short-term comfort. These qualities cannot be purchased. They cannot be inherited. They cannot be borrowed. They must be practiced every day. That is why they become true wealth. Imagine 2 people facing exactly the same financial loss. The first becomes dishonest. They blame everyone else. They abandon their principles. Fear controls every decision. The second remains truthful. They accept responsibility where necessary. They continue working. They continue learning. They refuse to sacrifice integrity for temporary relief. Who is actually richer? The first may eventually recover money. The second never lost themselves. That is a much greater victory. Character remains. Everything else can disappear. Modern culture often celebrates visible success. The Stoics celebrated invisible strength. Nobody sees patience developing. Nobody applauds integrity in private moments. Nobody notices the temptation you quietly resisted. Yet those moments shape your future far more than public achievements.
The strongest foundations are usually hidden beneath the surface. The same is true of character. Every promise you keep strengthens it. Every excuse you reject strengthens it. Every difficult truth you tell strengthens it. Every temptation you overcome strengthens it. Brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. There is another gift that character provides: emotional independence. When your identity depends on external things, your emotions constantly fluctuate. Success makes you confident. Failure destroys you. Praise excites you. Criticism crushes you. Profit energizes you. Loss discourages you. You become emotionally controlled by circumstances. Character breaks that cycle. When your confidence comes from your values instead of your victories, life becomes much more stable. Failure hurts, but it does not define you. Success feels good, but it does not intoxicate you. Criticism stings, but it does not own you, because your identity lives somewhere deeper, not in circumstances, in character. You have a choice. Every difficult situation asks the same question. What kind of person will you be now? Not what will you achieve? Character is always available, even when opportunity disappears, even when health declines, even when people misunderstand you, even when everything external changes. That is why the Stoics called it the highest good, because unlike possessions, it always remains within your reach. Here is a practice you can begin immediately. At the end of every day, ask yourself 4 questions. Did I act wisely? Did I act courageously? Did I act fairly? Did I act with discipline? Do not measure your day by money earned, followers gained, compliments received. Measure it by these 4 qualities, because those are the only victories that no one can take from you. Eventually, something remarkable happens. Your confidence stops depending on circumstances. It begins depending on consistency. You trust yourself, not because life becomes predictable, because your character becomes dependable. That is emotional freedom. It's not about owning more, it's about becoming more. It's not about protecting your image, it's about protecting your integrity. Character remains. Everything else can disappear. Remember that when life becomes uncertain. Remember that when success tempts your ego. Remember that when failure whispers that you are not enough. You are not your possessions. You are not your title. You are not your popularity. You are the choices you repeatedly make. That is the one possession life can never remove unless you willingly surrender it. You have now learned the deepest foundation of Stoic strength. But philosophy means nothing without practice. In our final chapter, we will bring every lesson together into one daily system. A practical way to build an unshakable mind, one ordinary day at a time. Chapter 10. Build the unshakable mind every single day. Knowledge changes nothing. Practice changes everything. You can read every book on Stoicism, listen to every audiobook, study Marcus Aurelius, study Seneca, study Epictetus, memorize every principle, yet if your habits remain the same, your life remains the same. Wisdom is not measured by what you know. It is measured by what you repeatedly do. That is why this final chapter is not about another idea. It is about a system, a way of living,
a daily operating system for an unshakable mind. Because strength is never built in one dramatic moment. It is built in ordinary moments, repeated thousands of times. Practice beats inspiration. Daily discipline. Repeat. Everything you have learned in this audiobook fits together. The dichotomy of control, amor fati, negative visualization, memento mori, virtue, attention, character. These are not separate lessons. They are parts of the same foundation, a strong mind. So begin every morning with intention. Before you reach for your phone, before you check messages, before the world tells you what deserves your attention, pause. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself, what belongs to me today? Not tomorrow, not next year, today. Your effort, your attitude, your discipline, your honesty, your patience, nothing else. That simple question immediately places your attention where it belongs, on your responsibility, not your circumstances. You have a choice. Begin your day with intention, or allow distraction to choose your direction for you. Practice beats inspiration. Daily discipline. Repeat. As your day unfolds, perform what we have called the control check. Something unexpected happens. Pause. Before reacting, ask, is this mine to control? Someone criticizes you. Pause. A meeting goes badly. Pause. Traffic stops moving. Pause. Plans collapse. Pause. Every interruption becomes the same opportunity. Separate what belongs to you from what does not. If it belongs to you, act. If it does not, release it. Immediately, without resentment, without negotiation. Reality doesn't negotiate. Neither should your peace. That's the discipline. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. When adversity appears, practice acceptance. Not passive acceptance. Active acceptance. Accept the fact. Then improve the response. Never reverse that order. Reality first, action second. When life gives you an obstacle, remember chapter 6. Use it. Don't curse it. Everything trains you. Every setback contains a lesson. Every disappointment develops patience. Every failure reveals weakness. Every challenge strengthens character. Only if you allow it. Then end every evening with reflection. Not guilt, reflection. Ask yourself, where did I live according to my values today? Where did emotion lead instead of wisdom? What will I improve tomorrow? Do not seek perfection, seek progress. Marcus Aurelius constantly returned to this habit because he understood that awareness always comes before improvement. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to examine. Practice beats inspiration. Daily discipline. Repeat. Never forget gratitude. Not because life is perfect, because life is temporary. Remember what negative visualization taught you. Nothing is guaranteed. Not your health, not your career, not your relationships, not even tomorrow. That truth should not frighten you, it should awaken you. Every ordinary day is extraordinary once you stop assuming it will always exist. Gratitude transforms enough into abundance. Now let us talk about where Stoicism is truly practiced. Not in silence, not in books, not in philosophy discussions, but in ordinary moments. Traffic becomes patience. Someone cuts you off, Your schedule changes. You feel irritation rising. There it is. Your training. Not tomorrow. Now. You have a choice. React or respond. Practice beats inspiration. Criticism becomes humility. Someone misunderstands your intentions. Someone questions your work. Someone speaks unfairly about you. Immediately, the ego demands defense. Pause. Ask, does my character actually depend on this opinion? If the answer is no, remain steady. If correction is necessary, speak calmly, never emotionally. Master yourself first. Mistakes become teachers. You forget something important. You fail. You embarrass yourself. Most people immediately attack themselves. The Stoic asks a different question. What is this mistake trying to teach me? Failure becomes information instead of identity. Everything trains you. Waiting becomes endurance. Standing in line, waiting for test results, waiting for an answer, waiting for life to move. Most people see waiting as wasted time. The Stoic sees waiting as emotional practice. Can you remain calm without immediate gratification? Can you remain disciplined without constant progress? Can you trust the process? That is strength. Uncertainty becomes courage. You cannot predict the future. No one can. Yet people spend enormous amounts of energy trying. The Stoics accepted uncertainty as part of existence. Not because uncertainty is comfortable, because resisting uncertainty changes nothing. Control your preparation, release the outcome. That is freedom. Every ordinary inconvenience now becomes extraordinary training. The world becomes your classroom. Every person becomes your teacher. Every setback becomes your exercise. Every morning becomes another opportunity. That is how philosophy becomes life. The Stoics knew this. Now you do too. Eventually, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop asking, when will life become easier? You begin asking, how can I become stronger? That single question changes your identity. Because identity is not built through motivation. It is built through repetition. Every disciplined choice casts a vote for the person you are becoming. Every patient response, every honest conversation, every courageous action, every moment of self-control, another vote, another brick, another layer of character. Months pass. Years pass. One day, people begin describing you differently. They say, you never seem to panic. You stay calm under pressure. You don't let criticism affect you. You seem difficult to shake. What they see is not talent. It is practice. Thousands of ordinary decisions invisible to everyone else. Practice beats inspiration. Daily discipline. Repeat. Now we arrive at the greatest transformation in this entire audiobook. At the beginning, you wanted control. Control over people, outcomes, timing, success, the future. Now something has changed. You no longer chase control. You understand that most of it was never yours. Instead, you pursue something far greater. Self-mastery. You no longer measure success by whether life obeys you. You measure success by whether you remain true to your principles. When plans fail, you remain disciplined. When criticism arrives, you remain composed. When success appears, you remain humble. When hardship comes, you remain steady. That is the unshakable mind. It is not built because life became easier. It is built because you became stronger. You have a choice. Every morning, every conversation, every setback, every victory. Choose discipline over impulse, character over reputation, effort over outcome, gratitude over entitlement, purpose over distraction, reality over resistance, again and again and again. Because this is not a philosophy you visit, it is a way of living. Remember what you have learned. Reality doesn't negotiate. Control your effort. Release the outcome. Use every obstacle. Guard your mind. Time is disappearing. Character remains. Practice beats inspiration. Daily discipline. Repeat. Do this long enough, and one day you will realize something extraordinary. Nothing outside of you became predictable. Nothing outside of you became permanent. But something inside of you became unbreakable. The world no longer controls your peace. Your circumstances no longer define your identity. You no longer chase control. You become the person who controls yourself. And that is the Stoic secret to an unshakable mind. Look back at where you began. Nothing outside of you has changed. The difficult people still exist. The uncertainty is still there. The future is still unknown. But if you've understood this lesson, something far more important has changed. You now know where your power begins and where it ends. You know that your attention is yours. Your choices are yours. Your discipline is yours. Your character is yours. Everything else is weather. Some days it will be calm, some days it will be violent. But storms only control the person who mistakes the storm for themselves. From this moment forward, ask one question before every decision. Is this mine to control? If the answer is yes, act with everything you have. If the answer is no, release it without apology. Do this once, and you'll feel relief. Do it every day, and you'll build resilience. Do it for a lifetime, and you'll become the kind of person no circumstance can break. The world does not need to become easier. You need to become stronger. Now close this audiobook, walk into your next challenge, and prove to yourself that your mind belongs to you.